As creators, there are so many things that we have to learn to be successful in this industry, from managing our content and our audience to our personal life and mental health. In Coached, a sub-series of Soulcial Scoop podcasts by Soulcialmate, we work one-on-one with a member of our private creator coaching community, the Soulcial Suite, and you get to be a fly on the wall during our call. I'm Kristen Bousquet, and I've been a full-time creator for over 3 years and have brought in over $350,000 from sponsored posts and content creation collaborations with brands so far. Soulcial Scoop is the podcast where we teach you, the entrepreneurial creator, to turn your online influence into a profitable, self-sustaining business. Let's dive right in. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Soulcial Scoop Podcast. My name is Kristen Bousquet, and as always, I'm so excited that you're here. Today, you are listening to Coached, a series where we let you be a fly on the wall during a one-on-one coaching call with a member of our private creator community, the Soulcial Suite. Today, I'm here with Anna Kalfayan. She is a creator who shares tips on gut health, easy recipes, and self-care. So if you're interested in getting your free one-on-one podcast coaching call, you can become a member of our private creator. Nope, hold on. You can become a member of our private membership community, the Soulcial Suite. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Anna, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yay! So you've been in the Soulcial Suite for pretty recently. I feel like you joined. So we haven't had a ton of opportunities to actually talk one-on-one on video. So I'm really excited to hear more about you, but also go through all the things that you wanted to go through today. So before we get started, I'd love to kind of just have you introduce yourself for anyone new who doesn't know you yet.
Okay, sure. My name is Anna. I am the Gut Girly on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the things. But I'm a registered dietitian and I specialize in all things gut health. So healthy eating in regards to gut health, grocery shopping tips, and also a little bit of self-care and wellness as well. I'm based in sunny San Diego, and I'm a pretty outdoorsy girl and love to just create recipes and share things with everyone online. So, yeah.
I love it. I actually need to take some more time to go through and favorite some of your content and stuff, because right now in my life, I'm trying to get my gut health where it needs to be, and so I need to sit down and dedicate time to going through all your videos.
Well,
but yeah, I'm sure it is. The ones that I've seen so far, I'm like, dang, she's good. So yeah, thank you for the content you create. I'm sure it's helpful for a lot of people. So the first thing that you wanted to go through was securing long-term brand deals. So I want to hear a little bit more first about kind of what brand deals have looked like for you so far. Have you been able to secure long-term deals? If not, where do you find yourself struggling? Just kind of give me more information about that.
Sure. So yeah, I've been able to, get secure brand deals. I probably had 6 or 7 now, but they've all been kind of one-off situations. So, and most of them have been me reaching out to the brand and typically products that I've used. So yeah, just really trying to either turn those into longer term situations or searching for other brands that, may have bigger budgets or are looking for things that are more long term.
Okay. So with the partnerships that you've had so far, and it's good that actually these partnerships are ones that you've done the outreach for, because a lot of the times it's really hard to secure partnerships where you're doing the outreach. So you must be doing something right. That's really great. Now with those partnerships, when you are reaching out and you're kind of in the stages of negotiation with these brands, have you at that point tried to say, oh, well, let's, maybe try and do 3 months worth of deliverables and see what happens? Or are you kind of just I just want to get this contract signed and lock it in because I'm afraid to mess with anything?
Yeah, that's pretty much been, how I go into every single one.
I mean, it makes sense. I think it's scary for a lot of people to shake anything around, because you're afraid that if you were to introduce let's do 3 months or 6 months worth of collaborations, they'll be like, never mind, just kidding. We don't want to do anything. So
Yes.
I get that. You don't want to like ruffle the feathers. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like one point though, that it is really good to try and kind of lock in those long-term deals. So there's like a few times throughout a partnership when I think there are like ideal times, and that's one of them. Typically what I like to do when I am in the beginning stages, trying to kind of like negotiate a longer deal, I guess, first of all, limiting belief is that, like they're going to just say no and be like, screw you,
Right.
bye. Most of the time, like I would say 99% of the time, that's probably not going to happen. It's like a fear you'll work to get through. But basically at that point is a really great point to try and offer them different options to make a long-term deal really appealing. So one thing that I like to do, and this is funny, I actually learned this long time ago when I was working at a salon. I was a receptionist at a salon, and basically what she told me was when people were coming out to the desk to pay, she said, I want you to put 3 products on the reception desk and show them all 3 products. And 99% of the time, they're not going to buy all 3, but they're almost always going to buy one. So when you present people with options, like one always is going to look more appealing, or maybe 2 look more appealing than the other ones. And so it's a great way to kind of get people interested in other options versus just like, here's what we're doing and that's that. So what I
Makes
like
sense.
to do at this stage is actually kind of lay out 3 different options for the brands. So I might say, it's great that you guys are interested in working together, based on maybe you've had a conversation with them about their goals or whatever it is. Based on what you're looking for, here are 3 different packages that I think would be really great. And so those 3 different packages, usually what I try and do is get one that's like right under their budget, or maybe like, like a lower ticket package. And that might just
Okay.
be like something super simple. That's kind of like, you don't really want them to choose that one, but it's like last resort. It's better than nothing kind of thing.
Okay.
Second one, I usually try and do like right at their budget or just a tiny bit over. And then the third one, I'll do over their budget, or like over what I expect them to spend if I don't know their budget. But it's a good deal. And so my goal is to try and get them to choose that last one. So a lot of the times what that last package might look like, for example, just for round numbers, if my, a reel was $1,000, I might say, let's do 3 reels, 1 per month for 3 months. And let's do it for $2,500 or like
Okay.
$2,250 or something. So I'm happy because I'm making a few $1,000s,
Right.
but like they're like, man, well, if we like her, like we want to work with her, wouldn't it make sense for us to like save a bunch of money now and lock this in?
Mm-hmm.
And worst case scenario, like if they don't have thousands of dollars, and option number 1 is maybe like $500 for a 3 to 5 slide story segment. At least they can kind of like go for something that's lower ticket if they don't have a lot of money to spend, or maybe it's like a UGC video or something. But the goal is like, let's package this
Mm-hmm.
option number 3, like as beautifully as possible so that they're like, oh, like this is such a good deal, we can't pass it up.
Totally.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you could think of like some good options for those?
Yeah, no, I definitely think I could. And I mean, just with the example that you said with offering the 3 products, I was in a situation where I had recently gotten a facial, and she showed me one product at the end, and I was like, wait, I wanted more. So I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, giving the options is just like really important, because they have
Yeah.
something to choose from, even though they may not,
Yeah.
pick the one that you
Yeah.
wanted.
Exactly. Like and one is better than nothing. Like even if they choose the
Yes.
lowest ticket one, like whatever, at least I have my foot in the door, So that's like kind of, I guess, the first place that you could kind of try and secure a longer term deal. And I think it's the best place to do it, but it also is one of the harder places to do it, especially if this is a brand where maybe you haven't worked with them before.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you have to say, like, let's lock in 3 months worth of work when they don't necessarily know how you are to work with.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like you kind of have to get them to trust you and like, no, I swear, like I really am good, like trust me. But every creator says that, and then there are plenty of creators that are horrible to work with, so it's difficult.
Yes.
But that's where, like having a really strong portfolio or media kit, having really strong content on your feed, maybe sending them a few links in your pitch that show previous partnerships you've done, like anything that can kind of show them previous work, and maybe in your email showing how professional you are and how quick you are to respond to emails. Like that's like one way to kind of check all those boxes of like, all right, well, she's been really great to work with, her past work is really great, I feel more comfortable about locking in something that's 3 months long. So that's kind of the first place.
Okay.
Other place that you can do this, and I think this is a little bit easier to do, is after you are kind of like wrapping up the first campaign. A lot of brands, again, they're going to be nervous to lock in 3, 6, 12 months worth of partnerships with someone they've never worked with before.
Right.
So once you've done kind of like this test partnership with them, then at that point, it would probably be a lot easier for you to be like, look at all this great work we created together. Like, wasn't I awesome? We should do it again. However, the issue with that is that if you do that first partnership and, UGC is easier in this situation, but if it's sponsored and you post it and it's like crickets and, it doesn't perform well, then it's a little more difficult to say like, hey, you should keep hiring me.
Right.
Because maybe it didn't perform where either of you guys expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be more difficult, but I think for the most part, most brands understand that sponsored posts don't typically garner the same interaction or the same results that a regular post would. I feel very confident that most brands know that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So they are more understanding, but at the end of the day, like their goal is to get this video out and make money. So,
Totally.
Could be a toss up there, but in that situation, if you do have a really great partnership and, everything goes really well, you create content you're super proud of, that's a great point to say, here are all of the stats from the partnership. Like, here's my little wrap up. Also, what are you guys working on for, I guess at this point, we might say like for Q2, for the second quarter. And then I can kind of like restart that interaction of like, all right, what are your goals for the second quarter? Like what are you guys looking to push? Like, do you have any new products, anything new that are your marketing initiatives, and how can I help? And then maybe
Okay.
you get on another call with them kind of thing and work out something. But I think at that point, again, if you did have a great partnership, when you are on these calls, you can kind of try and like, I guess, make them more interested in like, all right, well, if you are launching this new sunscreen for, Q2 for everyone going into the summer, what if we were to do, 3 pulses? We did like, March, April, May, or whatever, to really push the sunscreen before summer. And you kind of like can kind of make your own little mini marketing campaign for them that is more long term now that they can kind of trust you a little bit more.
Got it.
Does that all make sense?
Yes, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is unfortunately not the easiest thing to do
Mm-hmm.
with like securing long-term deals. Again, I think the beginning when you're negotiating is the easiest time to do it.
Okay.
However, the thing is like a lot of brands, every brand works in a different way with how they run campaigns. So like one brand might just always have a little bit of money and like whenever they feel like spending it, they spend it. But also, what if you finish this campaign in February and then, they don't have any money until like March again or June or
Right.
whatever. Like you never know when. So it's really difficult at the end for you to be like, yeah, let's go into this great partnership. And they're like, we're not running a campaign right now.
Right.
So in those situations, this is why so much of what I teach is based on relationships. Because if you can just build a really strong relationship, then even if they don't have money right after you finish that kind of like test campaign and you want to go into something else with them, at least when they have money again, they're going to be like, remember when we worked with Anna? She was great. Like, we loved her. We should ask her to work with us again. And so
Okay.
keeping those relationships strong and, again, being a really great brand partner will have brands and agencies coming back to you time and time again. So, like building those relationships and kind of like planting those seeds is literally the most important part about like getting rehired from brands and agencies altogether.
Okay, that makes sense. I can think of a brand in my head right now that I'm kind of in that post partnership relationship with, and we're still in contact. So I'm hoping I can just, keep that conversation going.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, I guess one kind of tip there too, like if you are maybe it's, right in February and you know that she said they're not going to have budget again until like early summer. What do you do in that in between time? Like that's when you stay up to date on all their socials. Like make sure you're still commenting on socials and like, seeing what they're doing on LinkedIn. We've talked about LinkedIn.
Yes.
Like how can you connect with them on LinkedIn? Like just like kind of be there. Hi, hey, hi, I
I'm here.
exist. Don't forget about me. Like, and
Okay.
literally that's how it works because then you're top of mind when there is an opportunity that comes along. And you can also in that time too, like maybe you send them an email halfway through that period of when you know that they don't really have anything going on and you say, hey, like just wanted to check in with you guys. How's everything going? Oh, I saw that you're on Instagram, you just posted that you're cruelty free. Like, that's so exciting. Da, 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 whatever. Like, you can just send emails to say, like, hey, what's up? You don't always
Okay.
have to be like pitching, pitching, pitching.
Right.
Pay attention to what they're doing on socials and like congratulate them or, ask questions. Oh, I saw that you're this new product is coming out. Like, is it cruelty free? Like, I'm just curious because I'd love to share it in my stories or I don't know, whatever. But
Okay.
don't be afraid to like keep those conversations going. That's how you're going to stay top of mind. But also, like, that's where the work comes in of like, maybe you need to stay organized with like, this is a list of brands that I'm like in the process of like warming up. I
Okay.
got to make sure that I keep like on their socials and like keep up to what date with what they're doing.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I've been trying to do every month. Well, starting this year was have like 4 brands to kind of focus on and, keep up to date with them on all social media platforms and stay
Yeah.
engaged with them.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's the best thing that you could do for sure.
Okay.
Now, another thing that you wanted to kind of go through here was when you are working with a brand, you have your partnership with them and you want to ask them for those analytics to kind of use almost like as a case study for other brands that you might be pitching, just to know how things perform. So, have you been
Yes.
like in a situation like this so far?
Um, yeah, so I had one ad running, which didn't pop up for me, but other people had seen it and
Yeah.
reached out to me, and I was like, oh, great. Um, so it's probably been a couple months since I think the ad was run, and I would just be curious to see like what those analytics look like. Is that something that's like appropriate to do? Is that something brands will share? I just
Yeah.
haven't been in that situation yet.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is something that I think most brands won't have. They won't like think that's crazy for you to ask
Okay.
that. Also because they understand that like this is something that most brands would love to know. Like, what is the performance of another sponsorship that you did with a company? Like that information is great for you to leverage for future partnerships.
Totally.
So typically, I guess how you can kind of handle this when you are maybe sending that like wrap up email with your stats and again maybe seeing like if can we do something long term, like what are you guys working on, maybe also in that email you say I would love to know if you have any insight on how X, Y, and Z performed,
Okay.
so that I can share this information with future collaborators or future brands that I would partner with. And again, like I think it's one of those things where like it might feel inappropriate to ask, but realistically it's not crazy
Okay.
information. Especially if it's like something like maybe you had a link, like a UTM link where they can track how many people click it and then how many people purchase through those links. Like
Yes.
that is great information for you to have. Really, really great information for you to have. And so like that's not super private, like you're the one
Okay.
sending them there. Maybe things that they would be a little more private about might be something like how much money they're spending on ads,
Okay.
or things like that. But again, like I always think it's worth asking. If you really feel weird about it, you can always say like it's totally fine if you're not comfortable sharing this, but anything that you're willing to share would be really helpful for me. And then
Okay.
you kind of give them the opportunity, like if for whatever reason they can't share, it's confidential, I don't know, then like that's fine, just asking. But
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. I sometimes I feel like things are sent off, and then I'm like, how did it do? Like I want
Yeah.
to see the concrete, analytics of
Right.
how it performed.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And again, like that's great information for you to have to say, if you're ever in a situation where a brand is like arguing with you about rate or things like that, like it would be great for you to have like a little PDF case study of like, well, when I worked with this brand, like this is how much money I brought in. So I feel confident that you can pay me this much money because like I
Okay.
can bring in money, and like that could be the kind of like make it or break it of you landing a partnership or not. So I would definitely ask whenever you can. And again, like worst that can happen is they say no and you're like, okay, cool. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Again, I think it's like one of those like not necessarily like a limiting belief, but something that just like feels uncomfortable that where you don't want to like ruffle feathers. Like you don't want this brand to be offended that you're asking them for this information and, like then not want to work with you or something.
Right.
And that kind of actually brings us to like our third topic of gaining confidence in talking with brands, like how to get on calls and have these conversations, or even in email, how to have these conversations. So give us a little bit of insight. Like, how do you feel right now about communicating with brands?
I feel like initial like conversation, I feel pretty great about. It's when we kind of start talking about their goals. And I think sometimes, obviously, the brand has, what they want, and I have what
Yeah.
I want. And sometimes when the conversation's not going in the direction I had hoped it to go, I kind of shut down a little bit. I was like recently in a situation where the brand said, this is the budget that we have every month. And, we pick creators every month and like, that's kind of it. But I still wanted to kind of open their, eyes to like some like different ideas and things I had planned on saying. But because like that was kind of how the conversation started, I kind of pedaled back a little bit. So I guess, without trying to be like offensive of like, this is maybe not what you're looking for, but like, is this something like that is of interest to you, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's something that the more you have these conversations, obviously the more comfortable you'll get having them. But I do think it's something that where you like slowly have to build confidence with. Again, it's the negotiations, like
Right.
how do I explain what I need, and that like I don't just want to work with you for 1 month for $200 and then never talk again. Like that's not necessarily what you need, but it's what the brand is saying, well, this is what we want, like take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that most brands, when they are kind of like saying, well, this is what we do, like, this is our budget, this is what's happening, I think a lot of the times they do have a little bit of wiggle room. Like if a brand really wants you, I do think that they'll find room. They might pull, an extra $50 from their advertising budget and use it towards their influencer budget just so they can give you an extra $50. And that's the difference of you saying yes or no. So I maybe this is me being stubborn, but I feel like when a brand tells me like this is our budget, I'm always like, so I'm gonna add like $100 to that, and then we'll see. Because you never know. You never know until you ask. A lot of brands are like, nope, this is it, but then they just need to like start at a lower like a lower number because they know that you're gonna like try and negotiate it up.
Right.
And it's the same thing with we do. Like we say our budget or our rate is $600 when it's really $500, so we have that room to negotiate. So it's no different.
Right.
But most brands, just like us, have that point where it's like, no, we really can't go past this. Like you're not, you might say $500 is your rate, but like you really can't go under 300. Like that's crazy.
Right.
And it's the same thing. But I do think it's worth always presenting your ideas, presenting your options. Because again, something you say might intrigue them so much that they're like, okay, we really like that. Let's find a way to make it work. And you never know until you say it,
Right.
Yeah, like I think it's important for creators to remember that yes, you're the one being hired and you're the one getting, hired and paid for the service, but it is a 50-50 relationship at the end of the day. Like you're being hired for your expertise and for your experience and for your output, like what you can create. And it's important for you to remember that, like, if they didn't really like you, if they didn't respect what you were doing and want what you were doing to also translate, over to their brand, then they wouldn't even be having the conversation.
It's true.
Like it's a 50-50 relationship. If you don't say, well, like, what about all of this? Because this would actually work really, really well. You're deep in social media. A lot of the people who are hiring influencers may not be as deep as you are. So you might be like ahead of the curve with things, and they want to do something that was cool 6 months ago or whatever. Like, maybe it's important for you at that point to say, okay, well, that's a great idea. And like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. However, this is what I've been seeing a lot of. And I think that we could have a lot of success with this because X, Y, and Z. And again, like, you may never know. They might be like, no, we hate that. We're just going to stick with what we want to do. And like, cool,
Yeah.
at least you offered your opinion. And I think it's especially important in this situation too, to like speak up about what you want to do or what you think would work. With sponsored stuff, a lot of the times a brand might give you a brief and it's like, it's horrible. Like, you're going to create this video and people are going to hate it.
It's
and
happened.
You know it. Yeah, right. Exactly. It happens all the time. So instead of just making the video, I think brands have a lot of respect for you if you're able to say, cool brief. However, my audience really doesn't respond well to X, Y, and Z, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so you speaking up and saying that makes it so they're not wasting their money, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and it's scary to say your idea sucks to the brand, but you frame it in a way that says, my audience is not going to buy it if we present it this way.
Right.
This is how they're going to do it. And that is something that a brand will, really value and respect from you. And again, they're hiring you for your expertise. Your audience better than anyone else. So especially with sponsored work, I think it's so important to speak up about that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like hung up the call and I was like, dang it. Like, I just don't feel like I got everything that I wanted to say out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the opportunity is still there, we're going to do some like smaller work together, but, I think because of that, like, I'll still have the opportunity to kind of like bring up some of those ideas that I had. Like, it was basically, I had an idea to do like a 30-day challenge using their product, like intermittently throughout the month. So I hope I can still, continue.
Especially in that situation, like, if you are going to do smaller work with this brand and you're going to have this opportunity to prove, like, look at how great my content is, I'm great to work with, like, this worked, then I think, again, like, it helps them build trust in you as a partner. And then eventually they might be like, all right, this girl knows her stuff. Like, she's awesome. She's really great to work with. Like, maybe we do need to like hear her out more. And then that's when you can kind of come in and present this idea and say, well, the last video did really well, but I think one thing we were missing was, I was only able to share it once. People need the repeat exposure. They want to see the results. How can we show them the results? I want to do this for 30 days. And there's no better way for them to see the change in 30 days for them other than them to follow me along on those 30 days. And, then you might spark their interest. And again, they've been able to build trust with you at this point. So it might be easier for them to like hear you out again, instead of just being like, nope, sorry, that's like what we're doing, take it or leave it. So you're right in saying like you do still have the opportunity. Don't think that like just because they wrote it off once that like it's never going to happen. Again, like keep offering your opinion and keep showing like, I know my stuff, like I know my audience, I know what they want to see. Like, look at X, Y, and Z, look at how these things performed. I want to do something like this. And the more proof you have too, I think the easier it is for you to show them. And that's where those stats come in, like you can say, well, last time I did something that I thought was going to work really well with the brand, look at what happened. Like, don't you want these kind of results? Let me help you help yourself, basically.
Okay. Yeah, it all ties together.
Yeah, it does. It does. Cool. All right. How do you feel? Do you feel like a little bit better about all of this?
Yeah, definitely. I know exactly kind of like what I'm going to do from here on out in the different, parts of the relationships with the brands, because it's just a constant flow.
It really is. Yeah. And I mean, like, I think based on like everything that we talked about today, like most important thing is just like being in it for the long haul, building those relationships for the long haul. Like, if you can only get one deal, okay, that's great for now, but like, how can you continue to stay in touch with this brand? How can you continue to build the relationship? And then, before you know it, you're one of their people that are like always getting the partnerships. Like they're always going to call on you for these partnerships. So building the relationships, offering your opinion, offering your strategy, that's going to be invaluable for sure.
Awesome.
Yay! All right, guys. Well, I hope everyone listening really took something from this episode. We talked about a lot of really great things that I know Anna is not the only one struggling with. So if you guys have any questions or want to hop on a free one-on-one podcast coaching call, become a member of our private membership community, the Soulcial Suite, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us, Anna.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.